You're being a little bit late, and we want to fight now more than they do.
Well, I have joining me now Erol Morkoç, Republican spokesman, to discuss Trump's intention on being part of Iran's leadership decision. Good to have you this weekend, Erol. Erol, so critics are saying that Trump's attempt to influence Iran's leadership is a clear example of imperialism, and shouldn't Republicans be championing sovereignty instead of regime change?
Bit of both things in the same pot. Sovereignty for the Iranian people from the tyranny of Twelver clerical Shia Islam, which took over that country, of course. Democracy is something that is very fragile, and oftentimes we see that unchecked democracy leads to the rise of some of the worst people. So when Condoleezza Rice, for no good reason, decided to have free and fair elections in Gaza, all that happened was we elected Hamas. So you have Hamas as a result of unchecked democracy. So in certain parts of the world, you need to have a coordinated corral here, and you need to have candidates who are viable candidates, because America has just expressed a willingness to use kinetic lethal force all the way up to their supreme leader. So obviously we are directly affecting who is going to be in charge militarily. And so we wouldn't then allow them diplomatically to just put anybody there. We're going to try to have somebody who's going to acquiesce because the US military has already decided that it's a threat. So I think those two things need to be put together. We're not exactly trying to give unlimited open source democracy to the Iranian people to re-elect somebody in a rigged election for the Islamicists. Rather, we're going to put our finger on the scale to change the outcome of this situation. And people can call it imperialist if they want, but it is what it is.
It is what it is when it comes to Trump, and you speak for yourself. I don't know if that's for the Republicans, but then what do you say about, the U.S. owning a nuclear weapon, Israel owning a nuclear weapon, but another region, say Iran, not having the right to own a nuclear weapon? That's one of the major arguments, amongst critics today. Critics are wondering, or analysts have said, if this region has to have a nuclear weapon, why shouldn't this, region own a nuclear weapon as well? Do we have facts that they're going to malhandle or misuse these weapons? If the US has it, why can't Israel? Why can't the UK? Why can't Iran?
Yeah, and it has a pretty clear answer to it. It involves the entire Gulf states. So the Israelis have nuclear weapons, as do, for example, Pakistan. In Turkey, Turkey traded the right to have nuclear weapons in exchange for being in NATO and having 25% of NATO's nuclear weapons in Irkut Air Force Base. The Saudis, for example, the Qataris, the Emiratis, the only reason that they have sought to not nuclearize is because Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. They already have backdoor agreements to purchase nuclear weapons from Pakistan, from Russia, from North Korea, should Iran get this. So if you want to stop nuclear proliferation, you have to realize that Iran's bellicose behavior, just look at recently, they just attacked every Gulf state with ballistic missiles. Additionally, they've been shooting ballistic missiles directly at Tel Aviv, and they have stated a desire to wipe Israel off the face of the map using nuclear weapons, as well as the United States, which isn't feasible, of course, from their technological abilities at this time. But the idea that these people who have, in Twelver clerical Islam, by the way, is Armageddon-based philosophy, where the end of days is, of course, the celebrated outcome. So it doesn't take the deepest game theory strategist to say, if these people acquire nuclear weapons, A, you will have extreme proliferation throughout the Gulf states and the Muslim world, as every Islamic country will now seek to have nuclear weapons. And number two, we do believe that they are the type of people who would use them if backed into a corner. So we intend to back them into a corner now and destroy them completely before they're able to do that. Now, people might say, who are you to do that? And we'll say, we are the United States of America. We invented it, and we'll decide who uses it in the way, shape, or form, along with, of course, people like Russia and China, who haven't given them hypersonic missiles or empowered them any farther to have those nuclear weapons, despite being their allies, they realize how detrimental that would be to regional security. So in the end,
Okay.
if you don't care about anything regarding American imperialism, you would care about Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Turkey all not getting their own nuclear domestic programs, and
All
that would
right.
be the result of the Iranians having that bomb.
All right. So quickly, because I mean, we're out of time already. How do you justify Trump's right to dictate who leads Iran when he openly praised and supported leaders like Kim Jong-un and Abdel Fattah el-Sisi?
Yes, he certainly has the right to be hypocritical because when you deal with, global geopolitics, there's going to be a different fit for different solutions. We deal with dictators, despots, and crackpots all around the world. And I think in Iran, when we have a chance with a fresh slate, Donald Trump wants to put somebody in there who can actually be a change maker and can bring prosperity for the Iranian people. He thinks he's the best guy for the decision. Obviously, the American people chose him. He seems to have been the man chosen for the job, and he's going to do what he thinks is best, regardless of what myself or other pundits might feel about it.
Now, Errol, you sound like you're not definitely worried about the midterms or Congress. It's like Trump's desire is number one, and there is no other any other thing that comes outside of it is they can just shove it. But will the Republican Party now prioritize Trump's personal opinions over expert diplomats and intelligence agencies when it comes to shaping U.S. foreign policy, and thus Trump's Iran stance signal a return to the Bush era, you are with us or against us mentality? And are Republicans ready for the consequences of this?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Trump has finally sort of played his cards away from the MAGA base and he's played it towards the Republican establishment. So a lot of people who were traditional Republicans could say this is much more of what we expected from a Republican president. To the domestic situation, he certainly has sort of at the short term looked away from the midterms and looked towards the international arena. He has definitely had a lot more success in the international arena, and he's doubling down there. Also, it looks like in the midterms, it's not going to be a very good showing in the House, and so they're sort of resigned to that, and they seem confident they'll be able to hold the Senate. With wartime footing, perhaps that augments it if he can get a quick victory, which doesn't look likely, or declare one, maybe. But ultimately, this is a return to what wasn't promised, with one caveat. There are no mass boots on the ground, mass invasions. From a logistical standpoint, the U.S. couldn't sustain that without a draft or a massive raising of forces right now. And so because it is an airstrike-based situation, it is the sort of tactical move that allows him to extract himself. And that is what differentiates this from the Bush-Cheney era, where it was boots on the ground and forever wars. Donald Trump has tactical strikes and overwhelming force, but never putting a large amount of human American soldiers' lives at hand. And if he's able to manage that properly, he might end up pulling over a surprise in the midterms and winning more seats than we thought possible.
Fingers crossed, Errol. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for the time. He is a senior Republican spokesperson now. Hundreds of protesters marched through New York City